everyone, welcome to Life Tips by Ning. In today's video, I'm sharing explanations for the 35th hexagram in I-Ching called Progress. So looking at the image of this hexagram, the external triagram is fire and the internal triagram is earth. So it has this image of sun gradually rising over the horizon. It's simplifying this early morning sun with very soft sunshine in comparison to the 14th hexagram, great possession. That one is fire over heaven. So that's more like a noon's sunshine with very strong radiant. This is the softer morning sun versus the sun as its prime energy and strength. So the first meaning of this progress hexagram, meaning that you need to proceed softly rather than aggressively with force. And the second meaning behind this hexagram is about virtue. And most of the time, if you see this fire hexagram, it's meaning brightness. It's like the sun. It represents justice, fairness, virtue, the law of the nature. So when you progress and proceed taking action, you need to do it softly and also by virtue and not by force. So that's the meaning behind this one. And in terms of individual lines, it's all about how it's following this overarching hexagram's wisdom. If it's following it correctly, the end result is typically either neutral or fairly positive. However, if you go the opposite way, the result will be negative. And before I dive into the details, another good just underlying principle of all the 64 hexagram is typically it's all about balancing between the yin and yang. Most of the hexagram, if you see, it's like the yang is gaining energy, is getting stronger and stronger. You want to bring in this yin element to dial it back. That's why this one is also emphasizing softer approach. Take it with a steady, planful, patient approach versus by force and aggressively. So looking at the first line is simplifying the initial stage of something. When you're lacking experience, is very immaturely the initial step, right? And it's a yin nature. So you're the first kind of initial involvement. You're lacking support because the first and the fourth typically is this corresponding relationship. But when I talk about the fourth one, you understand why it's a negative one. If you're kind of a newcomer being bonded and associated with a bad and ill reputation person, and that's not going to be a favorable position to be in. So if you land on this first one, it means you're going to receive a lot of blockage, challenges, hardship, and you haven't put in the time to receive a good reputation or trust, because unfortunately you kind of get entangled with a bad person already in a higher position. So in that case, what should you do? It's actually emphasizing you to follow the soft wisdom of this progress hexagram, meaning that take it easy, know it's not your time yet, be very patient and put in your time and effort, knowing that over time people will see your true self and you will earn your reputation back rather than being influenced by other people associated with you. But if you're able to take this patient letting go approach rather than trying to aggressively reaching some sort of a goal, just have this very letting go and kind of lacking that aggressive pursuit. Let go of that. If you're able to have this type of a mindset and mentality, you can reach a neutral result. It's actually fairly good considering the bad situation you're in. Landing in the neutral result is because of your strong mindset of not being influenced by it and not aggressively pursuing something. The second line is also not the time for success yet. it's kind of a neutral result as well. The reason is because I encountered this challenge initially, now I'm moving forward. I'm kind of feeling worried because, has the time come yet? Why am I still not successful? Starting to have a lot of self-doubt. But the reason this is a neutral to positive result is because it's a middle position. This person is able to stick with what he or she believes is his core value and keep on steadily following it and putting in the effort. Because they're able to stay true and not deviating it because of the worry or the patient is finally running thin because I don't want to put in the time and I'm starting to now see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you should and keep on sticking with it. Because of the ability to be consistent and put in effort step by step, eventually over time your future will bring success. But now you're still kind of in this processing stage rather than seeing the end positive success. The third one is a very great one because this is the end of this Kun, which is the earth triagram, meaning that finally I'm the leader of this crowd. I finally was able to gain trust over time and show my competency and my own virtue. And a crowd start to naturally being attracted and follow me as a leader. And because of their support, I'm able to move forward and elevate to the next level of success. So this is a fairly positive outcome because you haven't given up from the second one and because you have this patience through the initial difficulty. The fourth one is a bad one. The reason is this is a yang line in the fourth position. The fourth position is kind of like a higher up supporting role to the king because fourth is right beneath the fifth one, the one in charge. So this is saying I'm a young person, totally being opposite of this soft approach of this overall hexagram. I'm very greedy. It's like gluttonous, a little gluttonous rat trying to chase after anything that's going to be profitable for me, ignoring all virtual guidance or principle-driven approach. This person just being kind of allured to external profit and greed. Because of that, it's gonna incur a lot of failure in the end because you're in a higher position without the right competency or integrity. So eventually, it will result in failure. The fifth one is this king position. It's an yin line, meaning that I will go through a fair amount of challenges and hiccups. This whole process is not going to be smooth because I have to manage people like this surrounding me, right? So you're going to encounter some sort of challenge. However, because my kind of I'm able to pull myself out of the situation and absorb the situation objectively from almost like a third party perspective. Because of that, I can let go of my own internal calculations of small gain and losses. It doesn't matter. Your vision is set to more higher level, the big picture success. Because of that kind of a mindset, you're able to turn a potential harmful situation into a positive one. So again, it's emphasizing this letting go, the elevated worldview, the soft approach, and following virtue. You're able to follow the wisdom of this overall progress hexagram. That's why you can turn a loss into a gain. Last but not least, this is a situational one, meaning that depends on the case you face. Should you take a more forceful approach versus a softer approach? Saying that if at the ending stage of a situation, normally you should not progress more. Now it's time to dial back, especially it's a yang line in the ending position, right? We want to inject more in to balance it. That's the normal approach. However, desperate situation calls for desperate action. If it's about something needing strong correction, like internal disorder, or you see people under your own team having like lack of virtual behavior type of thing, then it warrants a forceful correction to turn things around. And that's okay, right? Reform it with force if the situation calls for it. However, don't over exercise your force, right? Balance, and once you solve the problem, go back to your normal stage of non-aggressive approach. Don't disrupt it, and keep things status quo with a softer, more maintenance mode. So that's an explanation of the 35th hexagram in I-Ching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.